Hey there, Patriots! Welcome to the most exciting time of the year. It's election season, the most wonderful time of the year. A time when we come together to make our voices heard and shape the future of our nation. Time to put on your red, white, and blue, grab your voting boots, and participate in our grand democracy. Whether you're a first-time voter or a seasoned pro, this is your moment to shine. But hold on a second, before you cast your vote, let's break down how this whole shebang actually works. It's not just about showing up at the polls, there's a whole process behind it. Now, you might think the person with the most votes from the good old American people wins, right? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that, folks. That's where the Electoral College comes in, and it's got everyone talking. This unique system can sometimes be a head-scratcher, but it's a crucial part of our electoral process. The Electoral College is like the playoff system of American politics, adding a little drama to the mix. Each state has a certain number of electoral votes based on its population, and these votes ultimately decide the winner. It's a system that ensures every state has a voice, but it also means that sometimes the candidate with the most popular votes doesn't win. This can lead to intense debates and discussions. So buckle up, grab your coffee, and let's dive into the fascinating world of the U.S. presidential election. From the primaries to the general election, and all the way to the final count, there's so much to explore and understand. Stay tuned, and let's make this election season one to remember. All right, folks, imagine this. Millions of Americans cast their votes for president. You're probably thinking, the person with the most votes wins, right? Well, that's the popular vote, and it's important. But here's the kicker. The popular vote doesn't directly determine the winner. What? Instead, we have this thing called the Electoral College, and it's the big cheese, the head honcho, the decider-in-chief when it comes to picking the president. Buckle up, because we're going on a wild ride through the Electoral College. Now, the Electoral College isn't some fancy college with ivy-covered walls and a football team, though that would be fun. It's actually a unique system that plays a crucial role in American democracy. It's a group of people, 538 to be exact, called electors, who are chosen to represent the states. These electors get to vote for the president based on the results in their state. When you cast your vote in a presidential election, you're actually voting for a slate of electors chosen by your party. Each state gets a certain number of electors based on its population. This means states with larger populations have more electors, giving them more influence in the election. Think of it like this. The more people a state has, the more electors it gets. For example, California, being the most populous state, has 55 electors, while smaller states like Wyoming have just 3. More electors mean more say in who becomes president. This system ensures that both populous and less populous states have a voice in the election. And guess what magic number a candidate needs to reach to become the leader of the free world? That's right, 270 electoral votes. Reaching this number is like hitting the jackpot in the political lottery. It means the candidate has secured a majority of the electoral votes and can claim victory. So, while the Electoral College might sound like an exclusive club, it's actually a fundamental part of how the United States elects its president. It's a system designed to balance the power between states of varying sizes and populations, ensuring a fair and representative election process. So, we know each state gets a certain number of electors, but how do they decide who those electors vote for? Well, most states have a winner-take-all system. That means whichever candidate gets the most votes in a state usually gets all of that state's electors. It's like winning a big old prize package. But here's a curveball. Maine and Nebraska do things a little differently. They can split their electoral votes, which keeps things interesting. So candidates have to campaign hard all over the country, even in states with smaller populations, because every single electoral vote counts. Section 5. What if nobody wins? Now, Imagine this nail-biter. Election night comes, the votes are counted, and neither candidate gets to that magic number of 270 electoral votes. Talk about a cliffhanger. What happens then? Well, folks, we enter the world of the House of Representatives. That's right, Congress gets involved. Each state delegation in the House gets one vote to decide the president, and they keep voting until someone gets a majority. It's democracy in action, even if it takes a little longer. Section 6. Why the Electoral College? Now, you might be wondering, why do we even have this Electoral College thing? It's a question that pops up every election cycle. Why not just go with whoever gets the most votes? It seems like the simplest and most straightforward way, right? Well, it all goes back to the Founding Fathers and the Constitution. These guys were visionaries, thinking ahead to potential issues that could arise in a young democracy. They were a bunch of smart cookies, and they had their reasons. They debated long and hard about the best way to elect a president. They wanted to make sure all states had a voice in the election, not just the ones with big populations. This was crucial for balancing the interests of both small and large states. They also wanted to create a buffer between the people and the presidency. They were concerned about the potential for mob rule and the influence of factions. They figured the electors, who were supposed to be wise and informed citizens, would make the final call. This system was designed to ensure that the president would be chosen by a group of people who were knowledgeable about the candidates and the issues at hand. Over time, the role of electors has evolved, but the core idea remains the same. The Electoral College is a unique feature of American democracy, aiming to balance the will of the people with a safeguard against potential pitfalls. So, while it might seem complicated and even outdated to some, the Electoral College has deep roots in the history and philosophy of the United States. It's a system designed with careful thought and intention, reflecting the complexities of a diverse and evolving nation. Section 7. So, you think you understand the election? There you have it, folks. The U.S. presidential election in a nutshell. It's a wild ride full of twists, turns, and more numbers than a math textbook. But hey, that's democracy for you. A little messy, a little complicated, but always interesting. So, get out there, exercise your right to vote, and remember, every vote counts, even if it doesn't feel like it sometimes. Section 8. Fun Fact Time. Did you know that 4 U.S. presidents have won the election despite losing the popular vote? That's right, 4. The most recent one was in 2016. Talk about a reminder that the Electoral College can shake things up.